Anakin the first.
So in this video I'm going to take a look at the new kontakt instrument called PlayBox that comes from Native Instruments, and it's kind of like a randomizing chord / melody generating tool, which is something I'm really wanting right now. I know there's tools like arcade and things like that, but I've just never really gelled with arcade. I know so many people swear by it, but I don't know if it's like a psychological thing, just knowing that so many producers have got access to them exact sounds, and like the first one that loads up, people will start playing it. I just don't want to find myself using all the same sounds all the time as everyone. I know we all use Splice and we all use these tools that, you know, there are a lot of the same sounds there and a lot of us are probably using the same sounds, but I think when it's like the core of the song, like the melody, I really, if I can find that, I either have to really flip a Splice sample to do that, or something like this where you've got this like randomized chord generating tool, and I think that's going to be really useful for me when I hit those like creative slumps when it comes to making beats. It's a really interesting concept, like you roll the dice and that changes each instrument per note that it plays in the chord, so it's not just like randomizing a sound and playing a chord with that sound, it's like randomizing every note of the chord and a different sound will be on every note of the chord. So the possibilities of new ideas and new textures, they seem endless with it. Like I haven't had a good play with it. I've opened it once the other day. I've been and bought it myself, so I've paid for it. This is just purely to share it so that anyone else who's considering it for similar reasons gets like an initial idea of how it works. Like this is not a review so much as me deciding to just record myself, try and find inspiration from it. So I'm not going to be going over all the fine-tuned details of it. I'm not going to list 5 reasons why you should use it. This is all about how I'm going to use it today, and it could come really quick. I could find myself clicking around the plugin a lot, so they want to see more of it. It could come straight away. I really don't know, but this is more a beat making video, but we're focusing on pulling the idea from this new tool from Native Instruments. Right, so I'm going to load up kontakt because it's part of it's like a kontakt instrument. PlayBox. Let's have a look. This is obviously the interface of it, and it's got a few things. I think these change every time we use it. But the first sound, let me just test the first sound. The first sound is like really usable in itself. I could straight away get into something with that. I think the way that this thing is working is, if you click on the sample section down there, you can see that this is all the different, are all the different samples being used, and some of them are instruments and noises. There's like one bass in there, which you can roll the dice on each individual section. It's kind of confusing, but I think the beauty of this in particular is the whole random function. And just the whole randomization. Like, I don't even want to know too much about this plugin, to be totally honest with you. Like, I want to just be able to roll the dice and get something new. What is even going on? So, like, they're all voices. So if I... That's interesting. I'm not sure how the chord section, what are we looking at with the chords? I can shuffle the order of the chords. I don't really know. So that's quite a nice starting point, and that's exactly what I see this plugin to be. Honestly, is like recently I've been a bit uninspired with like the music I'm hearing. I'm not gonna lie, like when I'm going and listening to like Rap Caviar and No Cap and all these Spotify playlists that before I've always gone to and I've been inspired and it's given me ideas and something to run with. Never a copycat thing, but like sometimes you need to hear different sonics and different instrumentation and be like, oh, I'm in the mood for something like that today, or something to just set the pace for yourself. Whereas a lot of the time at the minute, honestly, like I'm just finding stuff that's just sounding so boring. Like I don't even mean to. That's not hating on anyone's beats or anything. It's just I just think we're going through a bit of a stale patch. You know, in comparison to a time that always stands out to me is like when the Baby came out, there was a whole new bounce, and that had a knock-on effect and inspired like other people to introduce new sounds. Like even just the 808 sound in Shug, like that was new and that was exciting. Like at the minute, everything, it's almost gone back to the Spins 808, which I love the Spins 808. It's always been there, but I don't know, there's just like a lack of character, I think, at the minute. Whereas I think something like this is going to eliminate the concept of me thinking about, oh, where do I start, and falling into the same chord patterns. This is just going to like really open it up and just make something that I can then commit to audio and then flip it differently again. I'm going to look at some of these controls and see what they sort of bring to the table. There's like a little love control there. Oh, that seems to... yeah, that's making it cool. Like that's just giving it more. It's like it's throwing it up the octaves more or something. Or I honestly think that when you hear this arpeggiating going on, it's cycling between different sounds, which in itself is interesting. Rather than like arpeggiating the same sound, it's like cycling. One note will be this sound, the next note will be the next sound, and it gives a new twist to these randomization tools. So I can already see this turning into something cool. So I know I've not really gone through it, but we get the ideas. Like you hit that and you roll the dice and you get a whole new selection. It changes the key, it gives you a new bunch of sounds to work with, and then you can go into there. And from what I gather, you can just like then manually go in and change things individually, so you can really start digging in. I'm sure there's a way as well to actually drop your own samples in there, but that's not really what I've got this for at this point. It might be something I get into in the future when using it. Yeah, I'm just gonna like freehand it, commit it to audio and warp it that way, rather than worry about even the tempo now. I just want to do it without thinking about tempo and just working purely with the sound. Yeah, because I can hear a bounce in there. So I'm going to be honest, I'm already off that because this has got such an annoying crackle in it. There's a crackling sound in there that's just going to annoy me for the whole time. So let me just try and see if I can like work another pattern. I've got that saved now in case I actually want to go back to it, but sometimes it just takes something. Sometimes it just takes something to like get you to the point to be started. Like now I can go back again and just generate some more ideas using this sort of like randomization. So it's interesting, in the effects section they've kind of got a lot of different options. They've got this lo-fi, which is doing some bit crushing. That's kind of doing too much for my liking, to be honest. like what I'd started there, so I'm gonna go with that. This is like the perfect tool for when you're going into creative process. You want something that's unique, like shout out Arcade and Output and everything they do. I love Output as a company, but I never really gelled with Arcade just because I don't want to just be making the same exact stuff. Whereas this, I feel like it would take way more coincidence to align someone to get the exact sounds, the exact combination of sounds when they're spinning the dice, the exact same chord progression, the exact same tempo. So I think this has got way more scope for creating like random, unique ideas rather than pulling from the same sample pool all the time. I don't know why it's crackling so much. Like, what is the problem there? So it sounds like the compressor was a little bit loud and annoying, really. I don't know if that's maybe a bit of a bug in the like actual thing itself, and that'll maybe get addressed on an update or something. Okay, so I'm gonna freeze that. Try again with the melody. So instantly, it's a little bit high for my 808, so I can pitch it down, which I'd rather do anyway. I like to test my notes higher in the register so that I know that my 808s are in tune, because we all know that you cannot be putting music out with out of tune 808s. That doesn't mean you can't be putting out music with 808s that are not following the root note. The root note is not the only way to be in tune, but some people be like smashing on a note that's like a semitone out and it just sounds horrendous. Cool. Okay, so that's like definitely the starting point of something. And now I'm just going to find some hi-hat. I don't really like that hi-hat anymore. I think it wants to be something like that, and then I need to make the hi-hat more interesting now. Nice. I think I want a kick drum in there. Just something simple to just add an accent. Maybe like a little roll at the end. Alright, yeah, I'm into it. It's a pretty chilled, mellow beat. Obviously now I can add layers on top of that, and I haven't had to think about that first idea too much. I've just purely been able to, it's almost like sampling, like just hear something and be like, yeah, I'm sort of in that mood today. So let me see what else I can sort of add. This plugin's great, the Prince. by a company called Cradle, and like curated by Frank Dukes, who's obviously got an amazing like palette of sounds in his head that he draws from. So to have some of this stuff to hand is really useful, because you sort of like know it's past the Frank Dukes test already, so then it's down to you to pick the bits that you like. Now I like to commit things straight to audio, just because I think it stops me overthinking and overanalyzing. I like to move quick, almost like as if I've played it on some outboard, like you wouldn't have a chance to go and tweak the MIDI. I like to just get it out of the way. And sometimes I keep it there, like, you know, I'll keep it this time, mute it off in case I do need to go back, because then that instantly lets me just get into it and pitch it down. And because I wonder if it's going to sound better pitched down from the get-go. Okay, yeah, I like that. I'm going to load up another instance of this plugin. Okay, that's nice. It's almost got like a feel of Hurricane by Kanye West. And honestly, like, I got one of these. I had one from before. And when you actually listen to how simple some of the music is on the latest 2 Kanye albums, like, it was kind of freed me up to be like, you know what, don't always go in, because you don't always need to do too much. Like, it's so obvious, and a million people have said it, but for some reason still you feel like you've got to do something to make something amazing. But a lot of the times the simple stuff is the great stuff. So I honestly think that is all I want to even do to this beat. I came to the video not knowing what kind of beat I was going to make. This video was purely all about looking into this new Kontakt instrument, this PlayBox, and I've got to say it's brought me an idea that I would never have otherwise made, and I've just had fun doing it. I mean, I may as well structure the beat out a little bit now, why not? I want the 808 to be super simple, so I'm going to commit that to audio as it is, and if I want there to be any details, I can chop the audio up to do that. The main reason I'm doing this is because I want to do like a reverse, and I know some people would have just done it and just done the reverse in audio, but I'll be honest, I like to just make the commitment. Like that, yeah, perfect. This kick drum's got a little click on it. I don't know if anyone else can hear that, but it's annoying. So there you go. Let's do a little label and tip while we're in the mood. So when I put my kick into simpler, as you saw there, once it's in one-shot mode, it automatically started with snap on. And when snap's on, I don't know if you can hear it or whatever through you might not be able to hear it, but there's a little clicking sound at the end. That's because it's snapping to the grid, I'm guessing. There's like no real implication of what it's snapping to. But you can hear at the end of the sound, there's a little click, and I just think that sounds mad unprofessional. But when you take that off, it's not doing it anymore. So if ever you come across that problem, that might be the easiest and quickest way to fix it. That's the first place you should look. Maybe do something so that I can get creative with like some reversing sections. Like, again, another quick shortcut enabling is Command E. That'll let me chop wherever my cursor is, which makes things like this really fast and easy. And then I'm going to flip them by hitting R. That'll then reverse those, but in order, and then bring it down a little bit because I don't want it to match it, but then I want to pitch it down a whole octave and see how it sounds. And I might even make that come in straight at the beginning of the verse section. So let's hear how it comes out from the chorus into the verse. I'm going to also take the hi-hats away for the last part. And I want there to be more of a drastic like moment there, so I'm just going to cut all the audio harshly off. Okay, another little tip there. See how this roll, when I didn't have the fade out, it's like clicking, it's just like popping at the end. Just roll that off if that ever happens and you're doing something like that. Fixed it straight away. Okay, sick. So I'm gonna like just introduce some details in now. That's the one I'm after. Maybe under that there should be a little bit of texture, that could be nice. Again, I always like the texture of like a crowd. I've got this crowd that I use a lot, that's why it's at the top. It sounds a bit intense there, but when I drop it in, I can make it fit. I want it to cut off when that cuts off. So bring it down. Really filter it down. I think an open hi-hat is all it's missing, and then we're done. One of my favourite clippers is called Standard Clip. I'll show you how it works. Everyone I've seen use this uses it a little bit differently. I like to almost use it like a limiting clipper. So I turn the ceiling on and I drop that sort of down to like 0.6 dB. Yeah, sick, I like that. So that's the beat that came out of it. I'm super happy with it, to be honest. Like, something about the drums that I ended up doing reminded me of Hurricane, which kind of then influenced me to be like, oh, let me keep this really mellow. Let me not layer loads of percussion and loads of hi-hats and things like that. I wanted to keep it super stripped back and just like a floaty vibe, which I think it did really well. As far as the new Native Instruments tool, the PlayBox, comes into play, like, I can see myself using that a lot as like a tool to get that initial idea like flowing, you know, like sometimes I haven't got the idea in my head before I start. I just know that I've got some creative output that I need to get down, and something like that's really good for just like not having to think much about it. Once you've got something you kind of like the mood of, like you saw, I commit it to audio, I flip it, I reverse sections, I layer it with other things, and it becomes this whole other thing. But I need that first like mood setter. But yeah, this one was cool, man. I would suggest this to anyone that was like occasionally hits like these creative blocks. To invest in this is not a bad shout. So shout out Native Instruments for that. If you like the video, come subscribe, and I'll be back soon with some more. So yeah, see you later.
Mannequin the first.